Okay, you're gonna have to excuse the messy house, but just funny thing that I can't even believe myself. So I'm tired, winding down for the night. It's way past my bedtime, but I'm a little bit wired. And I'm just sitting here and out of the corner of my eye, I see something move. And my first thought is, oh, it's just an animal. We don't have any pets, but you wanna know what it was? It was my Domo bag. It was up, but just a little bit. Apparently it flipped down. Whoops. And I panicked. It just freaked me out for a second. This is where my brain goes at 10 o'clock at night, so I better get to bed. Okay, heading out for 5 miles on week 16, first run. Testing out some new leggings that I got at Costco for like $10. Another pro tip, don't just test out your shoes before going on a race. Test out any equipment you're gonna be wearing. If you're of the variety that needs a sports bra, test your sports bra, test your shirts and everything. You just never know where chafing's gonna show up or when things aren't gonna stay upright or just be uncomfortable. So always test everything before your race. It's probably gonna rain, hence the hat. I like this because it keeps the water out of my eyes, but here we go. So good news, the sport tights worked really well, and I think I figured out a way to wear my watch so that I actually get a heart rate reading that is accurate inside. It turns out, at least when the weather's this cold, I think what's happening is that my wrist is too small for the Apple Watch Ultra to get like an accurate heart rate reading, which is why it was reading at like 180, 190, when I'm like, no, my heart's definitely not beating that fast. But since I started wearing it on the inside of my wrist, I'm getting a much more accurate 130s and 140s, which is much, much closer to what I would expect based on my effort level. So, yeah, first run done. It looks like it's starting to sprinkle, so I am gonna get inside and stretch. That is 8 miles down, and hoping for actually a little bit warmer weather, or at least sunnier weather, because it's not bad. It's way above freezing. It's in like the 40s, but still like not ideal. Would love to see at least 50 degrees at some point soon, but we are still smack dab in the middle of winter, I guess, so I just have to be patient. Getting ready to head out on week 16, run 4, which is 10 miles. I am breaking out because it's almost Shark Week, so I would just like to point out that it is incredibly unfair that anyone should have to fight pimples and wrinkles at the same time. That is just some crap. Anyway, because it is almost Shark Week, I'm feeling pretty tired. So along with my normal Zip Fizz, I'm also bringing along let's see if I can get this in frame. Because one of those little fruit and vegetable pouches from Kirkland. I wouldn't normally take anything on a 10 mile because I'd get done in about 90 minutes, which is right when I would run out of glycogen. But again, coming up on Shark Week, I'm really, really tired. So I just want to make sure I have enough energy to get through the run. Here we go. Whew, I'm sweaty. So good news, it was sunny outside, which was very nice. Bad news is it was still a little bit windy. So it made, I couldn't seem to hit the right temperature. I was either too cold or too warm, but it's fine. It's done. One more long run for the week. And then this weekend we're off to Great Wolf. I decided that I am going to try baking some muffins with protein powder, which I've actually never done before. It won't up the protein content a lot. It's just a little bit of a boost. I'm adapting it from a recipe from the China City cookbook. It's their blueberry molasses muffins, which are really good. I've made them before, and I really I've been craving something like a little bit sweet, not like cookie or like cake sweet, but not just bread either, like something that's bready but sweet, therefore muffins. So we're gonna see how this goes. If the recipe goes well, I'll post what I did in the video. The first ingredient that the recipe calls for is 2 1/4 cups whole grain spelt flour. I didn't have any spelt flour, so I used about 250 grams, which is just over 2 cups of white whole grain wheat flour, because I was going to be replacing some of the flour with the protein powder. The next ingredient is 1 serving, 60 grams of the vanilla cachava. And because this has some sweetener, I actually did not add in the 1/4 cup of coconut sugar, and I think it came out sweet enough. But if you feel like you'd like to have it be a little bit sweeter, feel free to add up to a cup of coconut sugar. Just make sure to also slightly adjust up your other wet ingredients.
Next is 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can use sea salt as what's called for in the recipe. I like to use light salt in all my baking just to add that extra potassium. Last few dry ingredients. First one is 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/2 teaspoon of ground allspice, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. You'll mix all of the dry ingredients together, mix them together very well. We'll mix the wet ingredients together in a separate bowl and then fold them into the dry ingredients. In a separate bowl, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of molasses. I just use this one that calls for blackstrap, but any of them should do. Then the recipe calls for 1/2 cup unsweetened applesauce. I decided to try this Noka Superfood Smoothie protein pouch instead, just to add again a little bit more protein, see what it did to the flavor. You'll mix that and the molasses together very well before adding any of the other wet ingredients. Next is 1/3 cup maple syrup. And the recipe calls for 3/4 cup plain non-dairy milk. I use soy milk. That's what I had on hand. Plus it does have some extra protein. Once again, just kind of bringing the protein content of these muffins up a little bit. If you find that the mixture is too dry, I would add up to an additional ounce or 2 of non-dairy milk just until you get a slightly slacker mix, to your taste. Final wet ingredient is 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Once you have that added, mix all the wet ingredients together very well, and then mix in about maybe 2 separate batches into the dry ingredients. Final ingredient is 2/3 to 3/4 cup blueberries. You can use fresh or frozen. I had frozen on hand, so that's what I decided to use. They're smaller blueberries. They mix in a little bit better, and I just have to adjust the bake time by a little bit. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Line a muffin tin with cupcake liners and then fill them. I like to use an ice cream scoop because it keeps my hands a little bit cleaner and also helps me fill the liners a little bit more evenly. So I don't know if it's hard to tell this angle, but I definitely overfilled muffin tins a little bit, especially that guy, which is why there's only 11 instead of 12. But it smells really good, so fingers crossed the texture and taste are good as well. Okay, muffins have cooled off. There is my breakfast, 2 of the muffins, and then just a whole bunch of strawberries. And I put a little bit of earth balance, you can't see it's melted in, put the earth balance on them. So taste test, here we go. Okay, taste is good. It's a little chewy, and I'm not sure if that is the cachava or something else. I suspect maybe because I also put the Noka in there and possibly it was too dry of a mixture. It's not bad. It's not like super chewy, but it's not quite exactly as muffiny as I would have thought, but still good. And I will probably make these again and just adjust the wet ingredients just a little bit. So I decided to put just a little smear of jam on it, and it actually improves the texture and then just adds some tartness. So if you like jam, I also recommend a little bit of jam on these. Apologies right now for the very bad lighting. I'm using my iPad because I'm super far behind. I should have finished this video, finished editing it. Like, I basically finished everything except for the outro, which is this, a week ago. But we had a really crazy week. We took my daughter to Great Wolf Lodge for her birthday over the weekend, and then we started in our new department at work this week, my team did, and so that has just been absolutely insane. So yeah, that's pretty much it for week 16. Week 17, I actually have already finished as well, and I'll be working on editing that video. My hair, I am supposed to be getting ready to go help my friend pick out a wedding dress. and I need to be there in a little more than an hour. So this is gonna be super quick. I hope you guys are all having a great week. I hope that if you tried the muffin recipe, you enjoyed it, and I will hopefully try to get the next video up a little bit more quickly. Thanks so much.